Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Viglione, Visual Radio. It is the 23rd of February, day after President's Day, and my special guest tonight was supposed to be Steve Hunter, but I had the flu for 2 weeks, and if you watch the show regularly, you heard me plowing through it. Luckily, I feel better tonight. I feel a lot better. So, Steve Hunter will be on at a future date. They shipped me the Alice Cooper record he's on, Welcome to My Nightmare 2. And we don't have it yet. It's probably at my house right now or tomorrow. So, all good things come to those who wait. We'll have Steve Hunter from the Alice Cooper, Lou Reed bands on the show. And we'll have Dick Wagner come back. Dick's going to Italy. If you follow Dick on Facebook, he's aggressive in his Facebook, which is wonderful. So we will be talking to Dick Wagner again. We've had him on a couple of times. Frank Dell'Istrito later tonight. In about 4 minutes, we're going to talk to astrologer Eric Linter and his wife, Pamela Ruby Russell. I was hanging out with them at the Peter Kalo shoot when we taped Peter live at Passim last summer. These are old dear friends of mine. Eric is one of the great astrologers around town. And who's in there? Dan Houlihan, Joe LaRocca. Hey, Joe, when my guests call in, if you don't mind just checking the volume, that'd be great. Do I sound okay? Oh, good, because I got the mic on the table. I just want to do a little different thing. So, Steve Hunter, we've got Danny Sheridan calling back in a few weeks. Jeff Dearman is too afraid of the camera. He won't come on tonight. He's camera shy, unless he's at the Boston Garden, or whatever it's called these days, TD Bank North Garden. So I'm also going to editorialize on the Boston Globe, which is going to be fun. So when I go to these city council meetings in Medford, the city councilors rail about the media being in the mayor's back pocket. And if you've read the Boston Globe this week, Globe North today, Globe North last week, they libeled me. They called me a frequent litigator against the city of Medford, which is balderdash. I haven't gone after the city of Medford yet, but that's the way they want to play hardball. They did this for the mayor. It's obvious, and that's okay, because what I'm doing is I'm going through Google and finding all of the scandals at the Boston Globe, all the craziness that the writers, Patricia Smith, Mike Barnacle, New York Times, Jason Blair, we're going to have a party. They want to play hardball with me. They come to the right customer. So I like the Boston Globe. I've written for the Boston Globe. The Boston Globe has paid me to write for them. So to turn on a writer who worked for the paper to gain political points with a long-in-the-tooth mayor, naughty, naughty. Naughty, naughty. Now, if you can believe this, the woman who edits Globe North, one of the editors, her name is Marcia Dick. I'm not kidding you. How do you go through life with the name Marcia Dick? I just don't understand it. Change your name. Marry someone with a decent name. Call yourself Marcia Richards. I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's, and I'm not going to go into everyone else's names. There's so many names. There's a list of names that should have been changed from day one. I don't get people. Your name is your trademark. If you're called Cheerios, you're Cheerios. You don't want to be Mud. You know, maybe there'll be a small segment of the population that wants to buy Mud Cheerios. But they want Cheerios. They don't want something that sounds like it's dirt. So, Wheaties, Cheerios, a nice trademark. Something pleasant to the ear. Woman goes through life with the name Marcia Dick. And I just wrote to the Globe lawyer who's at the New York Times, and I said, the only name that reviews itself, Marcia Dick, okay? Hey, don't blame me. It's her name. I'm just, you see it in the paper. There it is for everyone to look at. What can I say? Save me, guests. The guests will call and save me, and I'll get off this ramble. But no, I got a lot of great information. We'll probably talk tonight about the city of Medford, and we're winning, people. We have a wonderful new Comcast platform called Project Open Voice. So go to madeinmedford.com, and you can see wonderful shows taped here in Winchester with Medford residents on madeinmedford.com. Go to channel. I'll go to recreation, and you'll see my smiling face. You can go to projectopenvoice.com. projectopenvoice.com. That is Comcast's new platform, and it's a wonderful experience. Not a wonderful show, a wonderful experience, because you get to see us in action, and I believe we're going to be on demand on Comcast. Now, I got to talk to Joe LaRocca, Anthony, and Dave Gauthier about Winchester and the contiguous channels, which I'll pick up after our interview. Good evening. You're on WinCam.
Hi. How are you, Joe?
Is this Pamela?
Yes, dear, it is.
Hey, Joe.
Eric Linter.
Yes.
I'm here too.
I'm so excited because I wanted to have you people in person, either out in Norfolk or here in Winchester, and here we are with the telephone, the good old-fashioned telephone.
I know. It's spontaneous and perfect.
It is, and are we going to have a little music and a little astrology tonight?
Well, I don't know.
What kind of music are you looking for?
Musical astrology. If the stars can dictate what I put on my iPod that I don't have.
Oh.
Do the stars tell us what music to listen to?
Oh.
Do they? Yeah, after a fashion.
If Pamela Ruby Russell makes a new record, does she have to go to her astrologer to find out what to title the song, where to record the song, and how to edit the song?
No, probably just when to release it.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Not retrograde, certainly.
Well, it depends what's retrograde. Right now, Mars is retrograde in Virgo, which is not an easy thing for Miss Pamela, who happens to be a Virgo.
Okay, so could you explain that to us and get a little closer to the mic, Eric?
I would say that Mars appears to be backing up in Virgo, and it creates particular challenges for those born under this sign. In essence, it tends to make things appear, at least, to move more slowly. When other planets come along, as they did earlier this morning, we had Mercury opposing Mars. It tends to produce a lot of frustration, and people can be emotionally impatient and feel just a lot of angst.
Now, is that across the board to anyone or specifically Virgos?
Well, certain signs are going to be more impacted than others, and I would put Virgo at the top of the list.
I get it. Now, being a Taurus, I get along well with your wife.
In theory.
In theory.
You. Now, boy.
Well, yeah, Earth signs are said to complement other Earth signs, and that's been kind of the rule on the street, but it ain't necessarily so.
Okay.
Well, Joe, in a horoscope, there's over 1,700 pieces of information. So when we simply reduce it to, well, my sun sign gets along with your sun sign, we're ignoring a whole lot of the full picture.
I've got a really left field question for you.
I love left field questions.
I love Joe's left field questions.
When Jesus was 12 years old, he is said to have gone into the temple, and he learned many things. Some say astrology. Yet I don't think Jesus thought that many humans were ready for astrology. So it seems to not be part of his philosophy. He has a blanket statement, no foul thing shall harm you, if you believe. So that kind of contrasts with people who study the stars and walk that path. Am I onto something here?
Perhaps there are many folks who believe that the three wise men who came to the birth of Jesus were three astrologers.
And that makes sense to me.
Why? I mean, why did they think that?
They followed the star.
Because wise men in those days were educated in astrology.
And astronomy. It was one, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know precisely when astronomy and astrology went on separate paths, but it seems that in many of your ancient civilizations, people were very interested in how the various positions of the planets, the stars, impacted their lives day in and day out.
Well, they depended on that knowledge. They needed to know for many reasons, harvesting and navigation and all kinds of stuff.
Navigation comes to mind. Columbus had to follow the stars.
Well, even earlier, before Jesus, if the astrologers noticed you were going to receive a tough transit from Mars or from Saturn, people would go to the temple of Mars or Saturn and they would make offerings.
Oh, wow, I never thought of that.
And they would say, please, don't kick my butt.
But the poor thing's being offered up. I mean, that's so symbolic, and now we know it's illogical. Or I think it's illogical.
Well, yeah, that's one
What's illogical?
one man's opinion.
What's illogical?
Slaughtering a poor little lamb so the god of Mars.
Well, that's not the only kind of offering that could be made.
Okay.
Not that I'm an expert. I know in India, where Hindu astrology is probably the oldest system still practiced on the planet, that even today, if astrologers determine that you're under a bad influence, they will recommend that you either head to the temple or hire Hindu priests to say prayers until that bad influence goes away.
They still do that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Fascinating. You have a newsletter, Eric. How do people subscribe to your newsletter?
Well, I write for a website, spiritofchange.org, and I provide a daily forecast that's online every day. And I also have a video blog on YouTube. And then, well, that video blog is called Eric Linter's Star Speak Whispers.
Eric Linter's Star Speak Whispers.
Yes, sirree.
That is very cool.
Every
He
couple.
is very cool.
Well, I like how Eric approaches this, Pamela, because you know there is so much stuff out there. You can see psychic reader, tarot card readings, but Eric's the real deal, and I'm very proud to know both of you. But Eric is the real deal. I've looked into it, and he gets my blessing.
Well, Eric is a master astrologer. He's not hocus pocus. He's really nuts and bolts and practical. Like how do you make things work, and how do you take what you've got and make it better or be happier with it, or if you have a dream or a goal, what steps do you need to take, and how and where. So I think it's pretty good.
Thank you for your kind words, Joe. I think the bottom line is if we can't apply this kind of knowledge in a practical way and use it to help make our lives easier, more fruitful, happier, then we're really missing the boat. I'm not a fatalist. There are some astrologers who will tell you you're cursed, essentially, and you've got a very difficult alignment in your birth stars, and you'll never be happy or you'll never be well. And I'm sort of a rebel at heart, and I refuse to give in or believe in that kind of negativity.
And I applaud you for that. And I'm a cantankerous rock critic, so when I give my blessing, I do it from the heart. If I didn't believe in your work, I won't tell people that I believe in astrology, but I believe in your work and your work ethic. And when I put my blessing on it, it means that, hey, I'm a tough critic, and I think Eric does a good job. So there you go.
Joe, you have a lot of blessings to give this year. The planet Jupiter is in Taurus until June, and it visits each sign 1 year out of every 12. So this is actually a very auspicious influence for you. It signals growth and opportunity to reach out to a wider audience. It's fabulous for your creative projects, for any kind of writing or publishing or other kind of intellectual outreach that you want to do. And basically it also instills a lot of generosity of heart. So I wonderfully and gratefully accept your blessing.
And Eric, I feel very good about this year. Things are rolling. They're going really well. And I've been very optimistic about 2012. So that's funny that you'd say that, because that's the path that I feel. The vibe around me is pretty good.
Well, my friend, the world is not going to end on December 21st. Life will go on. But understand that, this Jupiter influence is fabulous and it's protective. I sometimes call it the Glinda, the good witch transit, because it tends to put a person in a protective bubble where their own faith and optimism attracts additional benefits.
Interesting.
May the force be with you.
Woo!
It certainly feels that way.
Well, watch out, because before the year is over in October, Saturn goes into your opposite sign of Scorpio, and this can symbolize some very powerful new people coming into your life, but it may also test some of your longtime friendships, and there could be a parting of the ways.
Ooh.
Now, I have Saturn in Scorpio. Did you know that?
I didn't, but you will then be on the brink of your second Saturn return.
Huh.
Everybody gets one between 28 and 30, and then we have a second one between 56 and 60. They last generally about 9 months, each return does, and I call it the ultimate reality check yard sale event.
Huh. Fascinating stuff. Now, I got to get out there to Norfolk Cable and be in person with you two.
Yes, you do. And I have to tell you all my adventures.
Before you do, let's talk about, we were together at the Peter Kalo event. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was great. We had a really good time. And after we left the show, we ended up hanging with Peter and had a wonderful time.
And his friend Rob Morseberger?
Yeah, it was
the
great.
piano player?
Yeah, he was really talented.
Oh, they're so talented, those two guys. It really makes me wish we had a bigger platform on television, which we're getting, and maybe that's what the whole Jupiter thing is this year. Jupiter's big.
Yeah.
Large.
Yeah, Jupiter does make things big. It inspires us to think big. The only downside that I can think of, Joe, is that it may also influence your waistline.
Whoops.
Well, since you bring that up, I have gained a little weight because I had the flu and I had thrown my leg out. But today, just today, Eric, I signed up for a personal trainer for the first time in my life.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Good move.
Well, what happened was I threw my knee out, and I need to maintain. So, like, I've gained some weight because I couldn't go to the gym, even though I'm paying for it, right? So I was going and doing the upper torso when I ripped my muscle in my back. So clearly I don't know what I'm doing.
Ouch.
So now that I'm healing, I went over there today, and I know one of the guys, and he's a personal trainer. So starting next week, I'm going to really get into a groove.
Yeah, it's really important. And the thing is, to start out doing 40% and build it up. Don't try to do 75 or 100% right away. That's when you get injuries.
Pamela, here's what I did, and Eric, and it's I did very light. I did the light weights, but you know me. I figured, let me do a lot of light lifting.
No.
Right. I should have just maintained, I should have had a little balance.
You're supposed to do 3 sets of 8.
Yeah, well, I went way beyond that.
Yeah, you're supposed to just do 3 sets of 8, and you breathe. When you're stretching, what is it? When you're stretching, you inhale, and then when you're releasing, how does it work?
Contraction and then...
Oh, well, I got a trainer. He'll tell me.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Obviously don't know much about it. And the interesting thing is, little marshmallow me, I have a friend with a full gym in his house, and I just called him today and said, hey, I got to come over. So he and I are going to work out a regimen.
Now, does he have a good handle on what to do?
Well, I've worked with trainers before. I've just gotten really lazy. So.
I'm not lazy, just independent-minded, But I knew when I needed help, and so I'm going to help. I'm getting help,
Good.
It's not what I do. It's not my thing, maintaining a body. So let the professionals handle it.
Well, I figure the temple is the soul. What is it? The temple is the
body.
The temple is your body is the temple of your soul. How's that? So you got to take care of the body because it houses you.
And there's no place like home.
Exactly.
So have you two done a show on Norfolk Cable together?
Actually,
you interviewed.
I have a little show which is not running now, but it will be running again in the spring called Ruby's Roundup. And I interview artists and interesting people, and I've actually I have shot it in my house, so it's sort of like, hey, welcome to my,
You can send it out to us, and we can see, about playing it here.
Oh, that would be lovely.
It'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Ruby's Roundup.
Norfolk has a brand new TV station. It's
Studio.
It's really, really beautiful.
State of the art.
Yeah. So I'd love for you to come and see it. You'd like it, I think. And I'm hoping to go in there and play some music, which would be nice.
Do you play guitar?
I play some guitar and I play some piano. I mostly sing, and I basically find musicians that can play the color palettes in my songs.
Sounds like fun. You'll have to come in here.
I'd love to.
We're right on the train line. We're like 2 or 3 stops out of North Station on the train line.
Yeah. I'm recording right now with a really interesting fellow. He's kind of producing, and we're recording, and his name is Kai Olsen from England.
Cool.
Very talented. Really excited to be working with him. So this is a new thing. I'm getting the British sound in my tunes. So.
As well you should.
Yeah, it's different.
The British invasion.
Exactly. That's what we call him. So, but anyway, so that's working out, and I'm doing a lot of photography. I had 9 shows this past year.
That's a lot.
9 exhibitions. Yeah, it was a lot. And I've earned a lot of awards this year, too. That's kind of nice. Photography started out being something to do to make money, because the music wasn't putting food on the table, and I thought, well, I'll just take pictures, of course.
Pamela has so many talents.
Well,
she does, and we have to shoot some movie footage out there too, because I have all these movie scripts, so we should.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, I got to have you in my movie, so I'm just going to put.
Costumes?
We could talk all sorts of stuff. That's why we have to have a general meeting.
Oh, yeah, I'd love it.
But we're doing a lot of taping. We have a lot of fun stuff happening here.
Oh, good. Well, what we could do is set up your video camera, and we can have dinner together and talk shop, and it'll be interesting to see what it looks like.
I love documenting. Have you two seen the movie Chronicle?
Not yet.
It is a short budget film, 15 million. They taped it in South Africa. It's about 3 high school students, one of them a videographer.
Uh-huh.
They touch a crystal underground and they get superpowers.
Wow.
Now, there's a twofold thing here. One is that these low-budget movies are doing very well in the theaters.
Yeah.
That Devil Inside was like $1 million. This is 15 million. That's ridiculously low. I like to see that it's becoming more acceptable mainstream to do cheap movies and get them out to the general public.
Well, that's because everyone has a smartphone now, so they're used to seeing a different kind of format. It's actually great, I think. I hope that the quality, I guess, good art surfaces where it should and gets appreciated by the people that will appreciate it. But in the meantime, I think it's great to give people, make it easier for people to create art and to use the mediums.
Did you ever see Invaders from Mars, the 1950s movie, where the kid goes in the backyard and underground the Martians have landed?
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of like that. They find a hole and they get into it, and it's very scary, and they come up upon this big crystal, and they touch it, and they don't realize it's endowed them with powers. So it's a kind of cool movie with nice special effects, but they don't have to go overboard and be, 55 million, 100 million,
Right. Yeah, that's true. What was that movie we saw that was an early sci-fi fella that he ends up meeting?
The Time Machine?
The First Time Machine.
Yeah.
Is that it?
From 1960.
Did you ever see The Time Machine
Oh, sure.
From 1960?
The Morlocks?
Yeah. The Morlocks.
The Morlocks.
It's such a narrative. It's such a metaphor for what's going on now, especially with gas prices going up.
Yeah.
And,
Scary, really, how prophetic it was.
I love that movie.
Do you realize that our gas consumption in America has gone down from 9 million barrels a day to 8 million barrels a day. It's like 1%. But it's going down, and as the gas prices increase, less people are going to be on the road.
Right.
Well, we'll have cleaner air to breathe.
Well, I personally feel that it's all about what the what is it called? You know, the
Wall
stock
Street
market
speculators?
The speculators. I think that well, don't get me started. Basically, I think that what's going on right now is criminal in so many different ways.
Well, it is. There's no way around it. You've got no checks and balances.
Yeah, and I really would implore your audience to get involved in any way they can, because right now it's really important for people to make their needs known and make their beliefs known and speak out. And you know, you got to say, I can't take it anymore. I'm not going to take this anymore, and this is not right.
Now, I have a guest and sometimes directs the show, Kevin Russo. Kevin's not feeling well tonight, so I want Eric and Pamela to send out some good vibes with me to Kevin Russo, our co-host.
Oh.
Consider it done.
Sending the good vibes out to Kevin.
Kevin, I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you a big, large bouquet of beautiful roses, and may you feel better very soon.
That's Pamela Ruby Russell.
Oh, and Eric Linter.
And Eric Linter.
Can Eric give his contact information?
Sure, the website or the email.
Yeah, my email address is stars, S-T-A-R-S, at ericlinter.com, E-R-I-C-L as in Larry, I-N-T-E-R. And my writings can be found. I also do a seasonal article for the spiritofchange.org website, where I analyze the trends for a period of 3 months. There'll be a new one coming out probably in a week or so as March arrives. I'll have my spring article up there at Spirit of Change.
And I picked up the hard copy of Spirit of Change, I think at the MBTA station.
Yeah, those are distributed pretty heavily in eastern Massachusetts. A lot of Whole Foods markets have them, and health food stores, bookstores.
It's a good magazine.
That's also a really great resource. There's always good articles on online as well as in the hard print, hard version, hard copy version.
Now, as Mr. Spock on Star Trek says, I think, change is constant. Change is always happening. So this is a spirit of riding what is happening every moment.
Riding the wave, because folks, anybody who is on the planet right now has chosen to ride, on the tail of the tiger. I mean, these are amazing times to be in. The astrological signatures are as intense as they've been, I think, at any time in history.
You know what the tipping point is, right, Eric, in science fiction?
Yeah.
So I don't think we're at the tipping point yet, but we could be sooner than later.
I totally agree with you. We are on the verge of a historic alignment between the planets Uranus and Pluto. They are going to be in June in a 90-degree square aspect to each other. Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, the sign of big business and big government. And even though the astronomers tell us it doesn't count, it's not a planet, we astrologers look at events and say this is the heart of the matter. And actually, the very month that Pluto entered Capricorn in the fall of 2008 was when the Wall Street collapse and the bailout occurred. Uranus, the planet of revolution, is now in Aries. And so starting in June and then continuing for the next 3 years, these two giants are going to be squaring each other exactly on 7 different occasions. The last time the two were in a square goes back to the Great Depression and the years of the early 1930s. So that's a little historical perspective on what we are facing.
I have 2 points I want to bring up. Number one is, remember when Coca-Cola put new Coke on the market?
Yes.
And people balked at it. It was basically Diet Coke with a lot of sugar.
Right.
And it was sweeter than Pepsi because Pepsi had beaten them in the supermarkets. Okay, we get that. And Coca-Cola, the late Roberto, said that it was the taking away of the trademark that turned people off. They wanted their old trademark, the classic Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
How can astronomers take away Pluto from me? I've grown up with Pluto as a planet. How can they do this new Coke thing to Pluto? That's my question number one.
Well, you'll need to consult an astronomer. They have very technical reasons. Pluto does have an eccentric orbit. As I said, the heart of the matter is what correlates in terms of human events, our reality here on planet Earth, with the motions of the other planets out there in space. And every time Pluto enters a new sign, it triggers some kind of great transformation, some kind of house cleaning, some kind of upheaval. The preceding change of signs back in the mid-90s when Pluto entered Sagittarius, about the first thing that happened was the O.J. Simpson murders and then the trial. We got to see how the legal system works, Sagittarius being the sign of law, religion, and politics. And then within a few short years, the sexual abuse scandal broke here in Boston with the Catholic Church. So again, Pluto said, okay, we're going to shine a light into these dusty corners where people don't really want to look or deal with the situation.
I want to go.
In the 80s, when Pluto went into Scorpio, we had the AIDS epidemic. And we also had that whole series of trials, almost like witch hunts for people who ran daycare centers where people were sometimes falsely accused of abusing the kids under their care.
For political reasons. And Scott Harshbarger and Martha Coakley, to this day, really should have been called out for being involved in them, even tangentially, you know?
Yep.
And people aren't brave enough to call these people out and saying, you benefited from a witch hunt, you ruined lives, all for political gain. And that's just a wrong thing. Interesting you bring up the legal system. There's a great law case, and then I'll get to my point too. Honda, I guess there was a class action suit against Honda, and a woman, a former lawyer, went into small claims court because small claims is now larger. You can file for like $7,000 in Massachusetts. She sued for 10 grand without joining the class action suit, used the small claims court, and she just won.
Wow.
So rather than get a couple of $100 from a small claim, from a class action and let the lawyers make millions, she got 10 grand in California.
Wow.
Suing Honda. So they say that the small claims court is the people's real court. It's where there's real justice because you don't get the rigmarole of superior court, where if you don't
In
put
yourself and not be paying a huge legal fee.
But she was a lawyer, so she had an
Right, she knew
advantage.
how to do it.
she still had the advantage, but she's kind of paved the way for the general public who uses small claims. Because, you know, superior court, and I'll be brief, you know, if you have to file a motion, you do it under Rule 9A, and you must have a cover sheet and a statement of reasons. And if you put this cover sheet and a statement of reasons on the same page, you lose.
Right, and if you don't submit all of your evidence at the right time, it doesn't get accepted. I already went through that.
It's craziness. It's like it has nothing to do with the law. It has everything to do with formality. And they do this so that the lawyers make money. We get that. My second point is PBS has run this really nice special on gravity and quantum physics. And they say it's like a blanket. So when you drop the planet Jupiter or planet Earth in the blanket, space is a real blanket. It's a real living thing. Or maybe, if not living, it's a real entity. And that's what causes this whole astrology thing. The gravity of the planets on this blanket of space creates, according to the physicists, creates, you know, the magnetic pole and gravity, and then you've got all this activity.
Well, that's certainly one way of scientifically explaining how astrology works, and I have no problem with that.
Fascinating.
It's interesting, Joe. There was a fellow, a mixed race fellow in South Africa, and as a graduate student, he wrote a paper where he theorized that there were these magnetic fields in a certain part of our solar system. And when they put various telescopes like the Hubble up some years later, They had infrared equipment, and they actually did tests, and they verified his theory.
Whoa.
As a result of his claim in the circles of astronomy, he was given the job of he was the director of a observatory, made the observatory's director of someplace in England, and he then wrote a paper essentially saying what you just said, that the magnetic pull of the various planets on each other would explain astrological reasoning, back it up.
To anyone who understands that the moon pulls the tides, and when there's a full moon, people with 90% of water in their bodies seem to go nutty. It's just one example that when Mercury's retrograde and Mars is coming by, it has some kind of pull.
Yeah, and women can really understand it because our bodies are not controlled, but our rhythms are so controlled in many ways.
Or in sync
with, yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, with what I sometimes call the tyranny of the intellect, people who pride themselves in their thinking do a great job of ignoring so many of these obvious things around them.
Sometimes the smarter they are, the less common sense.
Yeah, in many cases.
But also, I find it interesting that, example, there was so much knowledge. We just went to the Pompeii show at the Museum of Science.
Didn't know about it, okay.
Oh, it was amazing.
It's gone now.
It's gone now, but it was brilliant.
You can catch it in Cleveland next.
Yeah. But the knowledge that these people had, and even beforehand, like when I was in Mexico and I was at the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon, and I ended up talking to this fellow who had written a book about the Great Pyramids in Egypt. He was at the pyramids in Mexico when I was there. And, he was telling me how NASA couldn't figure out how the indigenous or Mayan, Toltec, whatever, the people that were living there actually knew the exact circumference of the Earth. They actually knew things that, how would they know things like that unless, either they had spaceships or they were incredibly brilliant and really understood geometry and how to judge positions of the stars in relationship to their place on the
or we're living in a virtual reality like the Matrix.
Yeah, whatever. But it just, we know so little, and there's so many pompous people that just spout out things, and they really don't pay attention to the fact that there were people before us who had much more profound knowledge of the planet and the universe that we live in.
And we could be their descendants. Some of their blood could be in you or in me, and we don't know. My heritage is from Italy, so who knows if these people, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't go back that many generations, and it boggles my mind how much blood comes down into the people that are us.
Right. Hey, you know what I found out the past couple of years? I found out I'm related to 5 presidents.
Here's a fascinating thing for you to look at. Janis Joplin's sister, Laura Joplin, has a book, and it might help you with going back into your descendants. The first chapter in the book goes back to the Benedict Arnold times. They weren't related to Benedict Arnold, but they were related to significant Americans back in the days of the Founding Fathers. Janis Joplin's heritage. So God knows where your 5 presidents leads to, Pamela.
Well, my brother's already pretty much tracked it, but it's it's amazing when you think we just live our little lives and we don't really, many of us don't have the time or the inclination to really pay attention to what went on before us or what our heritage is and how it can manifest in our present day life.
Too many urgent things on our desk every day.
Yeah, like email.
Well, email's good, but there's too many urgent things that we have to do. I had to get the car tuned up today, things like that, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a big chunk out of your life.
Yeah.
So I walk to the library, do some writing, not enough hours in the day, walk back to the car, get it, but my life is disrupted because I'm trying to maintain what I have.
Right.
And you know, we have to maintain our cars, like you said, about our bodies.
Yeah, I was at the dentist today.
Maintaining her vehicle.
I was maintaining my vehicle.
Well, you know, it's all important. It's all important, and we're smarter because we're older.
Right.
And there is some wisdom that does come with age.
Yes.
Love to have you both in the studio. I do a film review in about 10 minutes, and I have one other guest, but we got to get together in person.
Love
Will
to.
do.
Anything we need to wrap up with? Anything that you need to tell our audience?
Oh, you want to do the robe of light?
I could share a little prayer that I love.
Please.
It's called the Robe of Light, and effectively it's a prayer of healing and protection, and it goes like this. I clothe myself in a robe of light composed of the love, power, and wisdom of God, not only for my own protection, but so that all who see it or come in contact with it shall be drawn to God and healed. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Pamela, Eric, thank you so much for being part of the show tonight.
Thanks for having
We
us.
love you.
We love you too.
Ciao.
Be well.
Bye.
Visual Radio, over and out.
Bye-bye.
Our good friends, Eric Linter, Pamela Ruby Russell, we're going to visit their Norfolk Cable. Check in with Johnny Byers. Then we'll check in with Frank Delastrito.
Oh,
Hey, Johnny.
hey Joe, how are you?
Good. I had Pamela Ruby and Eric Linter.
How are you?
Good. Did you hear the astrology report?
Actually, I forgot all about you tonight. I'm sorry about that. I was paying attention to some other stuff, and I didn't even remember that this was Thursday night.
Well, we got about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yes.
I gave a little narrative about the Boston Globe earlier. I've been on a tear, Johnny, looking into the Globe scandals and the writers they've had to release, and boy, I'm compiling a big dictionary here.
I know that. Wow, Joe, I mean, you've been in this fight for a long time with what's been going on down here in Medford, and then for what they pulled on you through the Globe.
Hideous. You don't kick the small people just because they've been winning.
Right.
You don't do that.
But see, you kicked them even harder because I'll toot your own horn for you. You managed to get a spot on Operation Voice on Comcast, which you never thought you would be able to. Well,
And before anyone else.
you went right to the top, the bigwigs up in the main office at Comcast. You offered them over 600 some odd hours of programming, and they took you up on a few shows already, and I wouldn't be surprised if they take you up on more before too long.
Well, they are. They're uploading more of our content. We're going to have Dr. Al Frankie, who is here in the studio.
Correct.
He's a Medford physician and a Maltin physician. He'll be uploaded. We taped him here. But the beautiful thing is it's for everyone.
Correct.
People can upload at home. I'm just thrilled that we're part of the beginning. And with Verizon in Medford now, I'm trying to find a way so people know the WinCam channel in Medford. So if people are living in Medford, they'll be watching us on Verizon. John, there's a lot of Verizon customers joining.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, like I said on the Medford version of your show, Open House with Ziggy Bush, I mentioned the fact that just the pricing alone is 10 times cheaper than going with Comcast or satellite dish. In my case, I priced a package that would cost me over $200 with Verizon, over $200 with Comcast, and over $200 plus with the satellite service.
And for all our cable viewers, I don't want to keep talking about those things, but our cable viewers are very happy to know, and they should compare and know what's going on out there. But moving right along, what's happening in sports tonight?
Well, very quiet night. I mean, the Sox are back. Surprisingly, tomorrow is the official day of reporting for all of us, the players, but they've been reporting early this, so everyone's in camp for in the official. Even though the official reporting day is tomorrow, all the players are in camp. They're going to do their physicals tomorrow, and probably start starting late tomorrow morning. They'll start working out, and they'll be getting ready for basically 2 easy games, which would be the college crush that I like to call it, because every year for the past maybe 15 or 16 spring trainings, the Red Sox have started off by playing the Boston College Eagles and the Northeastern Huskies, and they usually hammer them. By the third inning, they're usually up 13-14 to nothing, and they usually end up scoring 20, 25 runs against the teams combined in those games. So I don't even waste my time with those games. The real important game will be the next day, Sunday afternoon, when they play the Minnesota Twins, and we get to see the real team that plays, because the difference between what they do next Saturday and what they do next Sunday is the fact that you won't see many of the major leaguers in it. You'll see a couple of the major league players get maybe 2 or 3 at bats, and then the rest of the time it's the guys that are going to be sent from major league camp down to AAA, AA, and Single A.
Well, Johnny, I want to congratulate you because you are on the front page of not only Made in Medford, but ProjectOpenVoice.com. If people go to ProjectOpenVoice.com, you can see WinCam and you can hear Johnny Byers. You click on Medford, Made in Medford, and scroll down to the bottom. And, John, we're right on the front page. It's amazing.
Good.
You know, and then when you go to MadeInMedford.com, you hit on Recreation or hit on the channels, and you'll see the visual radio channel.
And,
okay?
the thing you put up with me was the one-question interview I got with Larry Lucchino back last May at the Heinz Convention Center for the Businessman's Breakfast, and we should also say that thanks to that, you hooked up with someone.
Bob Hildeberg. We got Bob Hildeberg out of that.
Who has a show on WinCam too.
And Johnny, the good thing is that you'll be doing some shows either in Medford or here, but we're going to keep in touch, and I'm just happy that you're on the front page, man.
Okay.
Congrats. Thanks.
I'll be talking to you. Bye.
John Byers, and now The Lodger with Frank Dell'Estrito. He's not in The Lodger, of course, but he will talk about The Lodger.
Your call cannot be completed.